Hi, Peter Charles here of Hooked for Life Photography. And today, I'm going to talk about my brand new Fujifilm 8mm ultra-wide angle lens, prime lens. And I've always owned prime lenses in the past, and always enjoyed using them. When I had Pentax, I had both an 18mm and a 15mm, and that's 35mm full frame, of course. This is equivalent to about a 12mm wide angle. So it's extremely wide, and of course you get massive depth of field. So let's look at some of the characteristics of the lens. The maximum aperture, as you can see here, is f3.5. So it's relatively fast. I mean, a lot of the lenses I used in this range were 3.5, so it seems to be a relatively common aperture for something that's this wide. If you wanted to go faster, you'd have a massive lens, and it would be massively expensive. This is not particularly expensive at all for a ultra-wide angle. In fact, it's reasonably cheap. It's weather resistant. It's pretty light and pretty small, which is nice. I mean, I can remember the 15mm I had. It was a huge thing. And this is quite small and has the same maximum aperture. So that's very pleasant. One of the things I want to show you about the aperture ring is it has a lock, and you can see the lock right here. You have to push it to get it into automatic, and you have to push it to get it out of automatic. I like that. I wish more lenses have that feature, because I've gone into automatic accidentally when you're just moving the aperture ring and you go right in. So that lock is a real nice touch. I like that. Now, as you can imagine, with an 8mm, your focusing is not so critical because your depth of field goes from here to infinity. But the manual focus on this thing is really interesting. That is your throw from minimum to maximum. Just that. So, most of these fly-by-wire focusing rings, it's Wheel of Fortune. Once you get past usually around about 3 meters, from 3 meters to close focus, it's spin, spin, spin. Not this one. That's it. About, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch of movement, a centimeter, and you've gone from minimum to infinity. So that's really cool. Now, as you can imagine, autofocus with this thing is quick, quiet, and precise. So, I mean, you're not really moving this thing a whole lot, are you? I mean, there's not much going on in terms of movement inside the lens, so that's to be expected. Now, I'm going to reverse this a little bit here, and I'm going to show you something very, very nice. It takes a filter. You can protect the front element, and it comes with this petal lens hood. So that's really good in an ultra-wide lens. And I was very pleased the fact that it did take a filter, so you do have some protection. So it's wonderful in terms of its handling. I mean, if you want an ultra-wide, I mean, it's fantastic for that, for handling and size and all that. So I've got it on my XH2, and I took it out to the shore of Lake Erie. I knew where there was a bit of limestone outcropping. You know what? I'll just go out there and play with the white clouds and the sun and the rock and see what I can get. It was just an opportunity to have some fun with the lens. Very first frames I put through it. I hadn't fired a single shot out of it till I went out there. And let's have a look at the results. Oops, I forgot to mention. The video that you're going to see is shot on a GoPro, and all of the still pictures are straight out of the camera using the Fujifilm Velvia profile. I have not made any adjustments to them whatsoever. They're just the standard JPEGs, and even the horizons haven't been straightened. So you're getting it straight out of the camera. So let's go have a look. Okay, this is very first frame on the 8mm. Haven't fired a single shot out of it yet. Let's move over here. There's some interesting rocks and water here, so we'll see what we can get. This is the widest lens I've ever used, so this is a new perspective for me, and we'll see what we can get with these rocks and puddles and things. Now this is typical with an 8mm. It's not image stabilized, you wouldn't need it. I mean, when you're dealing with lenses of this focal length, stabilization is not an issue. And focusing speed is not much of an issue either. I mean, pretty well everything is in focus. It's pretty easy to manage. So really, something like this, we're not really talking about how well it focuses or how fast it focuses or anything like that. It's really how much fun is it to use. So I'm going to see if I can get something really low here. Let's make use of the flip screen. We'll see how close we can get to get that perspective. Near and far. Let's do something with the sky here. Let's increase the aperture and see what we can get for sun stars. That looks pretty good, actually. I can see it when I take the depth of field in. Have to be careful of your horizons because boy, does it put horizons out quickly if you're not careful. Wish those geese would get out of my shot. So this is just a little point of limestone here. I can't move off in that direction very much because it's private property. So I'm stuck working around here. Oh, there's something that looks interesting. A little stump. So let's get right down on the stump here. And we've got a pipe. Let's see what we can do with the pipe. Who knows where that went? It's probably a sewer pipe from a cottage. All right, that's a good start. Sun's going in again. One more of that. I kind of like that. Lighten it up a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, here we're trying the lens as a selfie lens, and as you can see, it has a huge angle of view. You can take in the entire interior of my vehicle with no trouble. So if you need a wide angle of view, it'll work. And it's not far away from me. I mean, I'm touching the lens hood right there. So, I mean, the problem is selfie lenses, you bring your arm out to hold on to the camera, you're going to see, you know, a lot of arm in the picture. So probably not the best idea for a selfie lens, but it gives you a very broad view. If you are off, I don't know, visiting the Sistine Chapel and you want to take in the chapel as well as your face, this is a lens for you. So anyway, it will do the job. It will just give you way more than most lenses. And the focusing is not bad. If you go in and come back out, it'll stay in focus, so that's quite good. So anyway, it's a possibility. I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice for a selfie lens, but you know, if you need the view, you can do it. Okay, you can see the results we got there both for stills and for video. I gave you a bit of a selfie presentation just so you can see how that looked like. Some of the things I've noticed in the shots is that there was a fair bit of ghosting when you shot into the sun. I think it's kind of to be expected, a lens like this. The sun stars at f/22 were pretty good. I'm not complaining about them, but you will have to put up with a bit of ghosting. As I say, the depth of field was incredible. It's great fun to use. The picture of the little weed sticking out of the rock all the way to infinity were sharp. And I think I can't remember, the aperture was either f8 or f11 at that moment. And, you know, everything about the lens made, you know, just a lot of fun to use. And as I say, I had no real complaints apart from the bit of ghosting, as I say, and that's pretty hard to get away with a lens of this nature. The other thing is I did not look at the distortion in the lens, because even in RAW, the distortion correction can be written into the data, the metadata for the shot, and that ends up being corrected in software. So I want, unless I can turn that off, it's pretty hard for me to check distortion. And then is it even relevant when software is correcting it? Now, as far as the lens is concerned for video, the one negative I saw was that there was a bit of breathing, but realistically, if you're using this lens in a normal kind of ultra-wide perspective, I don't think that's really all that relevant. The breathing only comes in when you put something literally right in front of the lens. And if you're further back, there's really no focusing going on. From, let's say, where I was sitting in my driver's seat all the way back to infinity would have been in focus. So, I mean, there's no breathing there. It's only the last meter or meter and a half where breathing really comes into it. So is it relevant only on those really very close shots? In terms of focusing speed and follow, now, obviously, the XH2 has a bearing on this, but I noticed that when I put my hand up to the lens and brought it away, it followed focus very nicely, very smoothly, and there was no noticeable noise in the microphone. I didn't hear a thing in the microphone coming off of the lens, which is really nice. You don't want something going zit-zit, zit-zit, zit-zit. Imagine this is a stepping motor in here, so you don't often get nice noiseless focusing out of a stepping motor. You do out of a lot of linear motors are quiet, but stepping motors tend to make noise, and this one doesn't, so that's nice too. And again, you're not going to get focusing happening as if your subject is a couple of meters away. It won't focus. It doesn't need to focus. So the autofocus performance, you got to put it in perspective of an 8mm. All right. Other than that, I mean, it was a wonderful lens to use. And as I say, I thought about it as a selfie lens, but when you're holding it like this, your arm is can be in the shot. But boy, you can be really close to yourself. You have to be careful you don't distort your face too much. But this would be an awesome selfie lens if you needed to bring in a lot of the view. And as I say, with its follow focus, if you move your hand in front, it'll focus on your hand, then go right back to your face. No trouble whatsoever. So I was very impressed with the lens for its still capabilities, and I was pleasantly surprised with its video capabilities. As I say, apart from that little bit of breathing, no problem at all. But again, 8mm, we shouldn't be surprised. So if you're looking for an ultra-wide solution, I'd really consider this, even if it means going out and buy a Fujifilm body, which you don't own. I'd say go buy the body and put that lens on it. It's often a cheaper solution than some of the other options on the market, and it's a great little lens. So check it out. Cheers.